What happens when one of the world's most admired economies suddenly runs into problems it can't easily solve? That's the question facing South Korea right now. For decades, South Korea has been held up as a model of success. From the ashes of war in the 1950s, it rose to become a global leader in technology, innovation, and culture. Today, its brands are everywhere: Samsung phones, Hyundai cars, K-pop on global charts. To many people, South Korea represents modern prosperity. But beneath that success story, cracks are starting to show. Exports are slowing, young people are struggling to find stable jobs, household debt is skyrocketing, and the population is shrinking faster than anywhere else in the world. Add in the constant geopolitical pressures of being caught between the US, China, and North Korea, and suddenly, the outlook isn't so bright. Some economists describe what's happening as a slow-moving crisis. It's not a collapse you notice overnight, but a gradual weakening of the very foundations that powered South Korea's rise. And if these problems aren't addressed, they could reshape the country's future in dramatic ways. So why exactly is South Korea facing this economic storm? And can it find a way out? Let's break it down in today's video. Number 1. Falling exports and global dependence. South Korea is an export-driven economy. Nearly 40% of its GDP depends on selling goods to the outside world, mainly semiconductors, cars, and electronics. To put it simply, if global demand slows down, South Korea immediately feels the pain. The most vulnerable sector is semiconductors. Chips make up around 20% of South Korea's total exports. Samsung and SK Hynix are global giants. But in 2023 and 2024, the global chip market faced a downturn. Demand for memory chips, smartphones, and PCs fell sharply, and South Korea's exports dropped with it. Here's an example. In early 2023, Korean exports fell for 12 straight months, something that hadn't happened since the global financial crisis in 2008. That's a big red flag. On top of that, South Korea is being squeezed by rising competition. China is no longer just the world's factory for cheap products. It's climbing up the tech ladder. Chinese chip makers, electric vehicle companies, and even smartphone makers are now competing directly with South Korean firms. So, South Korea's over-reliance on a few industries, especially semiconductors, makes its economy very vulnerable. Think of it like this. If you're a restaurant that makes 80% of your income selling one dish, what happens when people stop ordering that dish? That's exactly the problem Korea is facing. Number 2, youth unemployment and job market struggles. Now let's talk about jobs, especially for young people. South Korea has one of the most educated populations in the world. Its universities produce highly skilled graduates every year. But here's the irony. Many of them can't find good jobs. Why? Because the job market is dominated by the chaebols, the giant family-run conglomerates like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG. These companies are powerful and provide stable jobs, but they can only hire so many people. That leaves small and medium-sized businesses struggling, and graduates often see them as less attractive options. As a result, youth unemployment and underemployment are persistent problems. According to government data, the youth unemployment rate hovers around 8 to 9%, but the real figure is likely higher if you include young people working part-time or in unstable jobs. This imbalance has created what Koreans call heljoseon, a phrase young people use to describe their country as a stressful, hopeless society where hard work doesn't guarantee success. That's a serious cultural warning sign. And this problem connects directly to South Korea's declining birth rate. Many young couples say they simply can't afford to get married or raise children because stable jobs are so hard to come by. In short, the job market crisis isn't just about the economy, it's reshaping Korean society itself. Number 3, household debt crisis. Here's another big problem: debt. South Korea has one of the highest household debt to GDP ratios in the world, over 100% of GDP. To compare, the US household debt to GDP ratio is around 75%. A lot of this comes from housing. Property prices in cities like Seoul are sky high. In fact, the average apartment in Seoul costs nearly 15 times the average household income. For comparison, in the US, the average is around 5 to 6 times. That means for ordinary South Koreans, buying a home feels almost impossible without taking on massive debt. And it's not just housing. Many families also borrow heavily to pay for education, especially private tutoring, which is seen as essential to get kids into top universities. Add car loans, credit cards, and personal loans, and you've got a society where debt is a way of life. Now combine this with rising interest rates. When the Bank of Korea raises rates to fight inflation, families suddenly face higher loan payments. That squeezes consumer spending, which makes the economy weaker. It's a vicious cycle. Imagine carrying a backpack full of bricks while trying to run a race. That's how household debt weighs down South Korea's growth. Number 4, demographic decline. If there's one issue that overshadows everything else, it's demographics. South Korea has the lowest birth rate in the world. In 2023, the fertility rate dropped to just 0.72 children per woman. To keep a population stable, you need a fertility rate of 2.1. That means South Korea is shrinking faster than almost any other country. The population is not only shrinking, but also aging rapidly. By 2050, nearly 40% of South Koreans will be over the age of 65. That's a huge economic burden. Here's why. Fewer young workers means less productivity and innovation, while more elderly citizens means higher spending on pensions, healthcare, and social welfare. The government will have to spend more but collect less in taxes. Japan is often used as a warning example of what happens when a country ages too fast. But even Japan's fertility rate isn't as low as South Korea's. Some demographers warn that if current trends continue, South Korea's population could fall from 51 million today to just 37 million by 2070. That's like losing an entire city the size of Seoul. So while falling exports and high debt are serious, demographics might be the biggest ticking time bomb in South Korea's economy. And finally, number 5, geopolitical tensions and economic risks. Finally, let's talk about geopolitics. South Korea is in a very tricky spot. On one side, it has the United States, its closest security ally since the Korean War. On the other side, it has China, its largest trading partner. Almost 25% of Korea's exports go to China, compared to only 15% to the US. That means South Korea relies on China for economic growth, but relies on the US for military protection. Whenever tensions rise between Washington and Beijing, South Korea gets caught in the middle. For example, when South Korea allowed the US to deploy the THAAD missile defense system in 2017, China retaliated with an unofficial boycott of Korean goods and tourism. The Korean economy lost billions of dollars from that move. Add to this the constant threat from North Korea with its missile tests and military provocations, and you have a country that is surrounded by uncertainty. Investors don't like uncertainty, and businesses don't like unpredictable trade wars. In short, South Korea's geopolitical position makes its economy especially vulnerable to external shocks. So why is South Korea facing an economic storm? Well, the picture is clear. It leans too heavily on exports like semiconductors. A generation of young people feels locked out of stable jobs. Household debt has climbed to dangerous heights. The population is shrinking at record speed. And geopolitics keeps throwing punches from every direction. Put together, these aren't just small cracks, they're deep fault lines. But here's the twist. South Korea has been here before, staring down impossible odds. This is the country that went from war-torn poverty in the 1950s to becoming a global tech powerhouse in just a few decades. That resilience is part of Korea's DNA. The real question now is, can South Korea reinvent itself once again? Can it diversify beyond chips, fix its broken job market, and find a way to tackle its demographic time bomb before it's too late? History shows us one thing. Whenever South Korea is pushed to the edge, it finds a way to fight back. But will it be enough this time? Or are we watching the beginning of a slow decline? Now, what do you think? Do you agree with this video? Tell us what you think by leaving your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos.